with a little love and some tenderness. Walk upon the water, rise above the mist, with a little peace and some harmony. Pretend we work together, we'll take them by the hand. Cause I've got a hand for you, oh yeah. Cause I wanna run with you. Yesterday, well, I saw you standing. Your hand was out, your eyes are red. The cold touched your hair. I said, get up, let me see you smile. We'll take a walk together, we'll walk the blue wild. Cause I've got a hand for you, yeah. Cause I wanna run with you. Won't you let me walk with you? Hold my hand, won't you hold my hand? I'll take you to the place where you can be anything you wanna be. Cause I wanna love you the best that I can. You see, I was wasted when I was wasting time, till I thought about your problems, I thought about your crime. Then I stood up and I screamed aloud. I don't wanna be a part of your problems, don't wanna be a part of your crowd, no. Cause I've got a hand for you, I've got a hand for you. I don't wanna run with you, won't you let me walk with you? You hold my hand, won't you hold my hand? I'll take you to the promised land. Maybe we can't change the world, but I wanna love you the best that I can. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me hold, won't you let me hold my hand, won't you hold my hand? I'll take you to a place where you can be anything you wanna be. Cause hold my hand, won't you hold my hand? I'll take you to the promised land. Maybe we can't change the world, but I wanna love you the best that I can. Oh, best that I can. We passed along the stairs. Spoken was a word, although I wasn't there. I said I was his friend, which came as a surprise.
I spoken to his eyes. I thought you died a long time ago. Oh no, not me. I never lost control. Your face to face with the man who sold the world. I laughed at your descent, made my way back home, searched for foreign lands. For years and years I roamed. I gazed a gazer stare with multi-millionaires. I thought I died alone a long time ago. Oh no, not me. I never lost control. Your face to face with the man who sold the world.
Welcome, it's London Man. In this segment, I will be exposing the fact that Kanye West, Elon Musk and James Turrell are very much aware that we live on the moon. Let's go. Well. Look who we got here. The man of the moment, Kanye West. This guy's been in the media for all the wrong reasons. Running around from place to place, camera to camera, losing deals, losing his mind, or so it may seem. One thing he seems to not have lost is time. Yes folks, this guy has time to sit down and chop it up with the paparazzis while letting everybody know how he feels about the Jewish community. Yes, him and Kyrie Irving have both had the door slammed shut on them for major brands in the sports sector, right down to the fashion department, and the list goes on. Right now, the NBA has suspended the athlete till further notice, and Kanye West has been silenced on major platforms through social media. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the two bears, the college dropouts. Now would be a good time to call on your friend Elon Musk. In the meantime, Kanye West is really out here spilling the beans on the whole situation with the industry and the passing of his late mother Donda. Was it really death from a cosmetic surgery complication, or was it something more complex and sinister? But on the other hand, it could be so easy to understand only if you had all the pages to the book. Yes, I say book because this show that we're seeing unfold is straight out of the holy book itself. You know the one, guys, when he walks on water, dies, resurrects, come back, classic story. But was that story true? I don't know. Could be, maybe not. But one thing I do know is Elon Musk, Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, and one character who goes by the name of James Terrell. Yes, James Terrell plays a major part in this twisted, holy AI story. In the meantime, I want to make sure you as the viewer or viewers are in a positive mindset and vibrating high vibes. I want to show you some ancient structures called ring forts, which are located in island residents of ancient Celtic nobility. Let's take a look together. Wow, truly breathtaking when you put your mind state in an ancient Celtic realm and time occurrence. These next images I would like to share with you are located in the regions of Netherlands. They are called celestial vaults. Celestial vaults was designed and built by James Terrell in the 1966. The vault is a monumental earthwork built up to resemble a large crater. While we're on the subject of craters, let's head over to the USA, location Northern Arizona, the Painted Desert region, and there you will find a piece of work built into the landscape, surrounded by volcanic cinderstone. I give you Rodin Crater. James Terrell has been transforming the inner cone of the crater into a massive naked eye observatory designed specifically for viewing, experience, skylight, solar and celestial phenomena. James Turrell claims to be born May the 6th, 1943, an American citizen, 79 years of age. Currently lives in Los Angeles, California. James Turrell is also famously known for his work within the light and space movement installation art. Speaking of art, Kanye West shot and filmed Jesus is King at the Rodin Crater for a tribute Sunday service choir. Kanye West also donated $10 million US. Before I start to expose the nature and agenda of these characters and their holy AI book, let's take a look at some of the artwork from James Turrell. Now, as you can see, his designs and working with the luminaries and minimal material usage has not gone unnoticed. He even received a medal for his work from the former US President Barack Obama. This particular piece of work, which he received a medal for, was called Utton's Reign. This story is about to unfold right before your ears and eyes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. In an interview, someone asked James Turrell what was the reason and the purpose for the construction of Rodin Crater. He then replied, "It's a small representation of the place I call home, where I come from." In this next clip I'm about to play, you can clearly hear James Turrell letting you know where he comes from another crater, and you can hear Kanye West double talking.
Spread the gospel. I'm not here for your entertainment. I'm an evangelist. So my music, my films, every conversation, every room I go in, we're here to save souls and save people from eternal damnation.
If you are way outside it and you have a lever so your fulcrum is way out here and you push down on this lever way out here, it's not gonna, you can't move it. So you have to be somewhat near to society, but outside it. If you are way outside it and you have a lever so your fulcrum is way out here and you push down on this lever way out here, it's not gonna, you can't move it. So you have to be somewhat near to society, but outside it.
Somewhere near the society but outside it. The crater Earth makes much more sense to me if we're talking about other worlds. I knew something was not right by the way Kanye kept on referencing his mother and the moon. Donda, 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 over and over again. Symbols kept on popping up. Then I remembered the mirror effect. Most of these celebrities talk in reverse. Then it came to me, Donda is not Donda, it's Adnod. Wow. Let's take a look at some of the artwork from the Donda album, Nothing But Moon and Craters. The artwork to Donda is all based around the moon or ascending. Could it be uploading the consciousness or the simulation? Even the track listing was provided with cross references. Let's take a look. Number 1, Donda. 2, Moon. 3, Praise God. 4, I Am Not Okay. And 5, Junior. I also came across other musicians who fell into the ACKWRDS category. They also seem to have the moon as their main feature. Let's take a look. It's like I fell into a black hole and ended up at Donda's house. Everybody here knew the assignment. Moon, crater, ascend, ACKWRDS, home. The more I looked into it, the clearer the picture became. The moon is much more than what we've been told. If we're talking about upload, simulation, consciousness, then we're talking Neuralink. Neuralink chips is the size of a coin and would be embedded in a person's skull. From the chip is an array of tiny wires 20 times thinner than a human hair, surgically inserted into the brain using robotics by neurosurgeons. Neuralink is working well with monkeys. Speaking of monkeys, the show must go on. Let's take a look at the religious background to these characters. Kanye West is a Christian believer holding choir Sunday service, sings at Baptist Missionary Church. Elon Musk is an atheist. He doesn't believe in a religion or God. He believes in science. James Turrell was born Quaker. Quaker think about God as the light and the luminous forces that every human being possesses. They worship the silence and look for the light within. Kyrie Irving's religion is Islam. He praises Allah. Bill Gates once said in an interview with Rolling Stones, "In regards to my faith, the moral system of religion is super important, and my family attends a Catholic church every Sunday." I searched and searched but could not find one picture of Bill Gates and his family within the Catholic church on Sundays. Matter of fact, the only place he seems to be is in Africa, administrating vaccinations for the eradication of polio, or so it seems. 2010 TED Talk shows that Bill Gates has a plan to remove some of the world's population through vaccination. God status. I came across a few holy verses relating to Kanye and the ACKWRDS topic. Kanye West seems to be in deep waters. Now you're up to speed with this holy AI book. Let's head back over to the craters. Now most of us was heavily indoctrinated with the globe and planets, but only a few of us broke free from the mind control. I want to show you where we've been going wrong. Take a look at these images of the so-called planets. Can you see it? All they did was replace the craters with sphere-shaped planets, and the rest was history. I want to take your mind back to the crater ages. Let's go. I'm only here to expose the powers that should not be, are not showing or telling you. The rest is up to you. Till next time, take care.
His name is Dr. Werner von Braun. His name is Dr. Werner von Braun. Name is Dr. Werner von Braun, and this is his biography.
parting on the left is now the parting on the right. And the beard associated with this number. It goes way back. Here's a young Michael Jackson flashing up that same good measure. You get him in another shot. And
so I'm presenting some excerpts today from my latest book, Musical Truth Volume 3. Many of you might be familiar with the general ethos of my work, which is to expose the true controlled nature of the corporate music industry. And I figured that most people will have a grasp of that that general idea that the industry is a tool and an asset of the control system that's used for mind control and societal manipulation and such. So I didn't really feel the need to give a general overview of that again. What I thought would be more interesting was to dip into the sound bites section of my new book. And this is where I bring together a selection of stories, or what I refer to as vignettes, which kind of reinforce some of the points I've made in the previous books. The second half of this is going to focus in on the workings of the industry and the nature of the contracts that many recording artists enter into. But for the first part of this talk, I'm getting into the area of synchronicity, or what is often termed synchro-mysticism, and how that ties into certain aspects of entertainment. And I've put together a story which I hope you'll find as fascinating as I do, because it brings together a very prominent movie from the 1960s and arguably the most influential and successful music group of all times. So this is the seemingly never-ending amount of correlations between the 1968 film Rosemary's Baby, directed by Roman Polanski, and the Beatles. While I was putting this presentation together, I came across this blog online which details even more synchronistic connections between these two aspects than I realized. So these now number in the hundreds in terms of the overlaps, and it's truly mind-boggling. So let's get into a few of them. Rosemary's Baby, the movie, was based on the original novel by Ira Levin, which was published some years before. And he, in turn, was influenced, it turns out, by Aleister Crowley. You may have heard of him. He's cropped up in one or two of my talks before. His name does figure in the overall story of the music industry through the decades. He was the original purveyor of sex and drugs and rock and roll, as it turns out. He had a story called Moonchild, which spoke of the offspring of a demonic entity, or the devil, being conceived under a full moon. And this is what inspired Ira Levin to put together the original story of Rosemary's Baby. So it was made into a movie by Roman Polanski as director, released in 1968. And the story is set in what is said to be a building known as the Bramford in New York. Well, this building turns out to be, in fact, the Dakota building, outside which John Lennon is said to have been assassinated in 1980. We'll get on to that. So it's a very real location, just set back from Central Park in New York. Many, many connections going into the Beatles through it. This is John and Yoko outside the Dakota building. Lennon's Strawberry Fields Memorial is just across in Central Park, just over the way. Lots of connections to the Dakota, it turns out, synchronistically. The Beatles manager Brian Epstein, not related to Jeffrey Epstein, it turns out, I have checked, managed, alongside the Beatles, another group out of Liverpool known as Billy J. Kramer and the Dakotas, so we got a connection in there. And Mark David Chapman, who is said to have been the assassin of John Lennon, spent some time living in the town of Decatur, which is quite similar to Dakota, in Georgia. Very early on in Rosemary's Baby, we have a scene where a young woman falls to her death from one of the windows of the building. This is the scene outside. She lands in more or less the spot where John Lennon would turn up dead 12 years into the future. just outside the main entrance. We have the old couple from the movie's narrative who arrive back at the building to find that this woman is on the floor and there's blood splattered all over a car which is parked in the foreground there. And the car just happens to be a white VW Beetle. And it's very similar to the white VW Beetle that we see on the cover of the iconic Beatles album from 1969, Abbey Road. And we'll return to this album as we progress. In 1968, February, the Beatles embarked on their pilgrimage to India to study transcendental meditation under the Maharishi Yogi. Also on that trip with them was, on the far right there, Mia Farrow, the actress who played the role of Rosemary in Rosemary's Baby. So we've got a very direct connection there between the Beatles and that film.
Poi Ringo e Mia Farrow sono partiti, ma gli altri sono ancora là, a Rishikesh sull'Himalaya. Noi siamo stati a trovarli quando c'erano tutti e vi raccontiamo la storia. Il viaggio comincia alla periferia.
There's another shot of Mia Farrow on the Maharishi's compound. And also on that trip, seated here next to Ringo, is Mia Farrow's sister, who went by the name of Prudence Farrow. And she was the inspiration for the Beatles track Dear Prudence, which appeared on the White Album later in 1968. The lyric line that goes, "Dear Prudence, won't you come out to play?" was reportedly inspired by Mia Farrow's sister having the habit of staying in her bungalow on the retreat and studying meditation each day by herself rather than coming out to join the others in the communal activities. Early on in the movie, we have Mia Farrow's character rocking this very contemporary hairstyle of the times. And this is said to have been designed by Vidal Sassoon, well-known hairstylist, hailing from an important bloodline family, it would turn out. The Sassoon family is one of these very key bloodlines that goes back many generations and has been put into many influential positions. This is a scene, again, from early on in the movie, and the central premise of the narrative is that you've got this young couple, played by John Cassavetes and Mia Farrow, and they move into the Bramford building. They are immediately befriended by the elderly neighbours, played by Ruth Gordon and Sidney Blackmer, and they kind of take them under their wing. It turns out that the young woman that had jumped to her death, apparently from the building, was previously living with this old couple, and they see Rosemary as kind of a replacement for her, and the reason for it becomes clear. Guy is a wannabe actor. He's trying to make it big on the Broadway stage, and he's not having much success. He falls in with this old elderly couple, and it turns out that they are part of a satanic cult. What's happened there? Interesting. Just as I say, satanic cult. Anyway, they are. And several other members of the cast also turn out to be in this satanic cult. So there's a friend. It happened again, didn't it? It happened again. Satanic cult. No? Okay. 3 times lucky. Anyway, so other members of the cast, such as their friend and the family doctor, and pretty much everyone else in the movie, all turn out to be a part of this group. And the story serves as a microcosm for what happens in general organised society at large. Because it turns out that in the upper echelons of every aspect of it, whether it's the world of politics, big business, science, medicine, academia, entertainment, mainstream media, whatever it may be, those populating the very top of the hierarchy will be dark occultists. And they will belong to secret societies such as, but not limited to, the Freemasons. That's the way organised society is structured. And this movie is telling you, in apparently fictional terms, the way that society is structured. And so we come to discover that Guy, John Cassavet's character, has entered into a pact with the cult. And they've promised him success as an actor. There's a particular role that he's after in a Broadway play. And there's another guy that's playing that role. We get to hear that that actor suddenly becomes blind. And the implication is, what is going on with this? Maybe that's fixed it. The implication is that the cult has caused this through their black magic sorcery. And so Guy ends up getting the role that he so wanted. However, it comes at a price, as these pacts always do. And the price that he's paid, the deal that he's entered into, is that he's agreed for his wife, Rosemary, to be impregnated by a demonic entity and to bear its child, which is where the title Rosemary's Baby comes from. So that's what we see being played out in the movie. Very soon after that deal is struck, Rosemary's personality changes. She becomes very withdrawn, she becomes very sad, and we also notice that her appearance has changed, and she's lopped off that famous Vidal Sassoon hairstyle, and she's now rocking this closely cropped blonde hair look. And through the research that I've done over the years into trauma-based mind control and satanic ritual abuse, which are very closely linked and which are absolutely prevalent throughout the entertainment industry, it turns out that the closely cropped blonde hair look is one that is an indicator of this type of programming having taken place. So you see a lot of entertainers who go out of the public eye for a while, and when they come back, they're rocking closely cropped, newly blonde dyed hair. And this to me is a visual symbol that the occultists are using to communicate the fact that this is one of theirs and this is what they've undergone for those with the eyes to see. Very interesting that it occurs at that point in the movie. The Sidney Blackmer character, the lead Satanist in the film, at one point declares it's year one. And at that point, on the wall, we see a calendar for the year 1966. Well, the movie was released in '68, but the storyline was clearly set 2 years previous, in 1966. And this turns out to be quite a key year during the very eventful decade of the 60s. On May 1st, a date of profound occult significance, being Beltane, Walpurgisnacht, May Day of that year, Anton LaVey established the Church of Satan in San Francisco as a kind of public interface for the satanic mindset, the satanic ideology, which so many of these so-called elites adhere to and operate by. There were many entertainers who were quite publicly linked with the Church of Satan, including the actress Jane Mansfield, also the Rat Pack entertainer Sammy Davis Jr., and then in more recent years, Marilyn Manson, affiliated with the Church of Satan. That's a surprise, eh? And also Mark Almond of Soft Cell was a part of that organisation. So why was the movie set in '66? Well, it was a very key year. When we get back into the conspiracy theory connected to the music industry, that of Paul McCartney, this is all centred around 1966 as well. The idea that the original biological Paul McCartney died in 1966 and was replaced by an imposter who's been playing the public role ever since. There's been a lot of work done on this in recent years. My friend Mike Williams, better known as Sage of Quay, over in the States, has put in hours and hours and hours worth of finely forensically researched material on this. And he's convinced that the guy we have today is not actually Paul McCartney, but is an individual that goes by the name of William Shepherd, or William Campbell in some versions, known by the nickname of Billy Shears, which is why on the Beatles album Sgt. Pepper, we have the lyric line, "So may I introduce to you the one and only Billy Shears." I personally feel Well, I feel different about it every time I put out a new book. Not because I'm trying to sell new books, but purely because my standpoint on it tends to get revised as I get access to new information. So I'm not entirely convinced that the original Paul is dead, but I can say with certainty that we've had more than one individual playing the public role of Paul McCartney. That doesn't necessarily mean that the original guy is dead. It could well mean that the guy we have today as Paul McCartney is the original. But at some point in the timeline, particularly for a period in the 1960s, there was another individual playing the role. So if you look at photographs and video footage from the 1960s, you'll see one Paul with a rounder, chubbier face, and he's slightly shorter. And you'll see the other one that's taller with a more rounded, thinner face. Anyway, I could go off at a tangent on this one, and we want to be out by about 11 o'clock, so I better not go down that particular rabbit hole. But anyway, the date that is so often given for the death of the original Paul McCartney is 9/11 of 66. And that turns out to be either September 11th or November the 9th, depending on whether you're looking at the British or the American rendering of that date. Well, 9/11/66 is an auspicious date in Beatles history for another reason, because this is the date that was also given for when John Lennon first met Yoko Ono. And this is a picture from that date. It's at the Indica Gallery in London, which is a small art gallery and bookstore that was curated by four partners: Barry Miles, John Dunbar, who was married for a time to Marianne Faithfull, singer and Rolling Stones affiliate; Peter Asher, who was the brother of Jane Asher, girlfriend of Paul McCartney for a large part of the 1960s, and McCartney himself. And at this particular event, Yoko Ono was presenting a selection of her avant-garde art for the first time. She was introduced to John Lennon, so the story goes. Also in attendance at that event, over on the left, look who it is: Roman Polanski, director of Rosemary's Baby, one of so many connections between these two factions. Fast forwarding to May of 1968, when the movie Rosemary's Baby was unveiled at the Cannes Film Festival, we've got Roman Polanski in attendance with his wife Sharon Tate, more of her shortly, and also there was Ringo Starr, hobnobbing with Polanski. The movie poster for Rosemary's Baby looked like this, and we're going to return to that in due course as well. And it was released in 1968, as I say. Also happening in 1968 was the construction of the World Trade Center towers in New York. They were just starting to get built. 33 years into the future, we know what happened. The events of September 11th, 2001. There was also another very key movie, very iconic, that was released in 1968. And it was Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. And this movie seemed to be predicting an event of earth-shattering world significance occurring 33 years into the future in 2001. And it did. Back to Roman Polanski and his unfortunate wife, Sharon Tate, it would appear. Sharon Tate's last movie, released some weeks after her apparent death, was originally titled 12+1, later renamed The 13 Chairs. It is set in the Suffolk village of Lavenham, which reportedly has a long association with witchcraft, and had only the year before provided the setting for the Vincent Price starring movie Witchfinder General. In December 1969, John Lennon and Yoko Ono turned up in Lavenham Village Square to film scenes for a short movie titled Apotheosis. And given they were dabbling in witchcraft, should we be too surprised that Yoko later released an album titled Yes, I'm a Witch, just in case there was any doubt on the matter. Listen to her on the Double Fantasy album, and you'll come away from that not doubting that she's a witch. So we come on to the infamous so-called Manson-Tate-LaBianca murders occurring in August of 1969. And the narrative of this one goes that Charles Manson had a group of disciples or associates in this sort of mind control cult that he presided over, and he had coerced them into going up to the Cielo Drive house in the Hollywood Hills above Los Angeles, which was occupied by Sharon Tate, the wife of Roman Polanski, and some friends. There were 4 people in attendance, and there were 4 of Manson's disciples that went up there. And we're told that there was a murderous frenzy in which Tate and her companions were all brutally stabbed to death. Sharon Tate herself was heavily pregnant at the time. Also in attendance there was Jay Sebring, who was a hairdresser to the stars. He did the hairdos of many prominent entertainers of the time, including Frank Sinatra, who was one of his clients. And Frank Sinatra, for a time, was married to Mia Farrow. The connections continue. This is what is said to be a scene from the Cielo Drive house, and the phrase "death to pigs" is said to have been scrawled in blood on one of the walls. Many researchers feel that this event didn't happen the way we're told that it did. Notably, Miles Mathis. Has anyone heard of the researcher known as Miles Mathis? Just Sam, okay. So he's quite a controversial character. He tends to claim that many world-changing events didn't actually occur as we're told they did, and they were in fact hoaxes set up using crisis actors. This wouldn't surprise me in many instances, because I've studied many so-called terror events which have turned out to be false flags and which have turned out to have employed crisis actors. And Miles Mathis feels this was the case with the Tate LaBianca murders. He's provided a lot of photographic evidence to show how the bodies seem to have moved from scene to scene. In one scene, Sharon Tate, who's supposed to be dead, has a smile on her face, like a dubious delight smirk. And she was, after all, an actress. Cielo Drive was a stone's throw away from Hollywood studios, where they have things like props, such as fake blood, that sort of thing. And Sharon Tate had a connection through her father into the world of the military. He was a high-ranking military officer. And many of these false flag hoaxes get carried out with the full complicity of aspects of the military. So that's what alerted Mathis to this one not necessarily occurring the way we're told it did. But either way, the concept of pigs ties us back into the Beatles' story. There was a movie released in 1969 which featured Peter Sellers and Ringo Starr in the prime roles. It was called The Magic Christian. Also starring in that movie in a cameo role was Roman Polanski. And in the narrative of the movie, you have the idea of pigs cropping up quite a few times. There was also the George Harrison song titled Piggies, which appeared on the Beatles' White Album. And this is said to be the fridge door from the Spahn Ranch hideout where Manson and his followers are said to have holed themselves up. And when those murders occurred in August of 1969, they very quickly hot-tailed it out of there, and the police are said to have recovered this door. Among the scrawlings on the door is the phrase, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all good children go to heaven. This was a lyric on one of the tracks which later cropped up on the Beatles' Abbey Road album. The thing about Abbey Road is it wasn't commercially released until October of 1969, whereas this fridge door would have been recovered in August, 2 months before. So if this is a reference to that Beatles song, it could suggest that Manson and his crew had advance knowledge of what the songs would be on the album through possibly some affiliation or friendship with the Beatles. That's an idea that's been explored by a friend of mine, Matt Sergiu, great researcher. He runs the site known as the Occult Beatles, and he ponders whether that could be the case. Paul McCartney says Charles Manson put him off playing Helter Skelter for years. So Manson had this concept of an apocalyptic race war that he wanted to start between blacks and whites in California back in the 60s. And he titled it Helter Skelter, having been inspired by the track of that name penned by Paul McCartney, which again had appeared on the Beatles' White Album the year before. This is Manson's trial when it went to court. Also in the picture alongside him is a young woman by the name of Susan Atkins, and her nickname within Manson's circle was Sadie. She was also known as Sexy Sadie. And Sexy Sadie was the title of yet another song that appeared on the Beatles' White Album of 1968, the year before the trial. The work of Dave McGowan, author and researcher who did so much work delving into the family backgrounds of the prominent musicians of the counterculture flower power era in California in the mid to late 1960s. And he focused specifically on the neighborhood of Laurel Canyon, up there in the Hollywood Hills, just a stone's throw away from Cielo Drive, where the Tate murders are said to have happened. Some great research showing that that entire scene appears to have occurred again at the hands of certain factions of military intelligence and other aspects of the establishment, calling into question just how grassroots and organic that whole scene may have been after all. Anyway, we've got some Beatles connections into Laurel Canyon. There was the song Blue Jay Way, which appeared on the Magical Mystery Tour album at the end of 1967. This was written by George Harrison, and it was at a time when the Beatles had flown over to LA, and they were due to meet with their press officer, Derek Taylor, and George found himself in this house that they were going to be renting by himself because the others hadn't turned up. So he wrote the lyric, "Please don't be long, won't you be long?" which was his way of alleviating the boredom. In this particular picture, we have many different versions of George, which could hint at multiple personality disorder brought on by trauma-based mind control. Or is that just my suspicious mind? Derek Taylor, the Beatles' press officer, before locating for a time to LA, where he began working with many of the Laurel Canyon musicians, including the Beach Boys, who connect back to Manson through his friendship and musical collaborations with the group's Dennis Wilson. By all accounts, Charlie Manson was quite a gifted singer-songwriter. Also the Byrds and the Mamas and the Papas. The latter group's key member was John Phillips, with whom Taylor worked on curating the Monterey Pop Festival in San Francisco in June '67, a key flower power event in that year's fabled Summer of Love. Also on the advisory panel for the concert, even though the Beatles never performed at it, was Paul McCartney. I'm going to start a Paul McCartney drinking game at my talks soon. Every time I mention his name, you've got to take a swig of a liquor of your choice. And anyone who's still standing at the end of the talk gets a special prize. Maybe I should do it with Aleister Crowley as well. So McCartney reportedly recommended that The Who, not Ted Ross's lot, Pete Townshend's lot, and the Jimi Hendrix, that was a joke, and the Jimi Hendrix Experience be booked to play. Another connection into Los Angeles comes from John Lennon's Lost Weekend episode of 1973/74. This is a very strange thing. So by this point, Lennon's marriage to Yoko Ono is said to have hit a bit of a rocky patch. And to try and smooth things over, Yoko suggested to John that he relocates out of the family home in New York to Los Angeles and takes up with May Pang, who is their secretary. And John evidently took the advice, because this is in with May Pang. That's not Yoko, that's John and Yoko's secretary there. So this affair that he entered into with May Pang came with Yoko's blessing. Very accommodating wife. I don't think mine would be quite so liberal about these things. So also a part of Lennon's Lost Weekend episode was the guy in the foreground here, Harry Nilsson, another singer-songwriter. He was Lennon's drinking buddy, and they would go out in the bars on the Sunset Strip. Ringo Starr would join them for some of these sessions, and they were doing drugs and just drinking a lot. So that's Nilsson, and more of him shortly. Round about the time of his Lost Weekend episode, John released his Mind Games album, and the cover to it looked like this. So you got Yoko Ono's face in profile in the background, looking as if it's part of some mountain range, part of the landscape. And to my mind, this is very similar to the movie poster that we saw for Rosemary's Baby, where you got Mia Farrow lying in profile there, and her face looks like it's part of the landscape in the background. This album was released around the time... Okay, so this is another Polanski connection. Maypang has recalled that following one of his drug and alcohol sessions, Lennon had become so ensconced in a rage that he'd had to be tied to a bed to restrain him. I've had a few of those, mainly on my videos. As he tried to break himself loose, he'd reportedly screamed, for no reason that anyone could make out, "It's Roman Polanski's fault. Roman Polanski is to blame for everything." What could that mean? Back to Harry Nilsson, over here on the right of the picture. In the middle of the picture, we have Mama Cass Elliot of the group The Mamas and the Papas. And she turned up dead in 1974 at the age of 32. And we're told that she choked on a ham sandwich. That was the official cause of death. Sounds plausible, doesn't it? Further investigation showed that it was some sort of heart failure. But the thing about it is that she turned up dead in a London apartment that was owned at the time by Harry Nilsson. Over on the left of the picture, we've got the drummer with The Who. It's not going my way, is it? Now, that was at the mention of The Who, so what's that all about? Tedros's lot. But I'm talking about Roger Daltrey's lot. Keith Moon, the drummer with that group, turned up dead at, guess what age? Not 33, but 32, same age as Mama Cass. And guess where he turned up dead? Harry Nilsson's flat. Not the place to stay when you're in London. So both these artists turn up dead at the same age, within 4 years of each other, in the same apartment owned by Harry Nilsson, who's said to have been a bit upset about it, and he sold it shortly after that. You can see why. And guess who Keith Moon had been out drinking with in London earlier that evening? Paul and Linda McCartney. Early on in Rosemary's Baby, Mia Farrow arrives back at the flat to find that somebody's left a bunch of red roses. And Matt Sergio, again, the writer of the Occult Beatles blog site, wonders whether, when Ringo Starr put out this album, Stop and Smell the Roses, it could have been either a conscious or unconscious channeling of that scene from Rosemary's Baby, giving us yet another connection. Particularly since Paul McCartney, there he goes again, with his group Wings, put out an album called Red Rose Speedway with this as the sleeve design. Finally, for now, one last connection between the Beatles, the Dakota, Manson, and Laurel Canyon. According to Hollywood Babylon, the book by dark occultist and satanic filmmaker Kenneth Anger, Mark Chapman, who is acknowledged to have been John Lennon's assassin, though many accounts claim he was merely the patsy programmed to take the rap for it, which is how I feel about it, the real assassin would appear to have been a guy by the name of Jose Perdomo, who was part of a CIA assassin team involved in the Bay of Pigs incident and reportedly many other CIA-sanctioned assassins over the years. I feel that Chapman had been mind control programmed to believe that he'd shot Lennon, when in fact that wasn't the case. Anyway, Chapman is said to have turned up at a screening of one of Kenneth Anger's films in Hawaii and handed him 2 .38 caliber bullets, stating, "These are for John Lennon." In conclusion for this part then, the synchromistic connections between arguably the most famous pop group in the world and this most unsettling yet revealing of movies seem never ending. And there are probably many more than those listed here. Well, there definitely are. So much so that it seems beyond the realms of any human planning and instead to be occurring at the hands of some unknown paranormal force of creation. Right at the start of today, we heard from Karen about the power of manifestation and about how when you set your intention towards something, you tend to attract towards you those situations which vibe with what you're seeking to create. You're syncing frequencies. So if you have satanic ideals and intentions being put out there, maybe through the mechanisms of the universe, you can create scenarios which are vibrationally compatible with what you're seeking to achieve. And maybe this all happens at the hands of these forces of creation, rather than having to be the product of people sitting around a table plotting this stuff and trying to make it happen.
Summertime, I'm why when living is easy. Oh yeah. Oh, fish are jumping when the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich and your mama's gonna look in. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Don't you do that. No, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing, yeah. You're gonna spread your wings. You're gonna say, you're gonna take the sky. One that morning, there'll be another can harm you. Well, mommy and daddy stranded in the back. But it's bad, but it's place upon boot, boom, boot, but when it's ain't poverty, thing, don't, hold on, but the best time, but they don't stay, that's a dealing on it out of what I don't know that, those are the thing. Besides, what's about the bullet, there's a bobby, it's a pretty little bit of something. Baby, believe it is on the stake away and sit down. Stand down, sit that day. Where's about this summertime? Oh, you peaceful feast. Morning, there is another hand on you.
With mommy and daddy standing by. Standing by.
It's ever so nice and peaceful up here, Joe. Nice view, too.
Aye, very nice, Petunia.
And look at that nice little boat. He's having a lot of fun out there in his little dinghy. That's what they call them, you know, sailing dinghies.
Are they nice people at our hotel, Joe?
Hey, hello. Now he's splicing his main brace.
Though I don't think the man on table number 6 is very nice.
Hey, do you think he's in trouble, Petunia?
Oh, no, Joe. He's just enjoying himself on holiday.
Oh, he's decided to have a swim. Now he's going to climb back again. I expect that water's a bit cold, don't you? Oh, he's changed his mind. Now he's waving to us. Go it! I can't say I recognise him, though.
Well, he must know us. Maybe it's the gent on table number 6.
No, it's not him. He's Oh, now he's shouting. Lovely day, isn't it? Help! Help! Dial 999 and ask for the Coast Guard. I can't hear a word he's saying, you know. Help. Dial 999 and ask for the Coast Guard. Well, I never. If you see a boat you think may be in distress, dial 999 and ask for the Coast Guard.
Seen something interesting, Joe?
No, not really, Petunia.
Well, you must have spotted something.
Well, it's what you might call a rare sea bird.
Oh, fancy. How nice.
I think I might go for a little swim, Petunia.
Not here, Joe. A red notice means it's permanently unsafe and you must never, never bathe from here.
Oh. That water looks very inviting, Petunia.
You can't bathe from here either. Not now. Can't you see the red flag? It means it's just not safe.
But I can swim like a fish.
That's no excuse, Joe. As long as the red flag's flying, you must go in the water.
Oh.
Now you're in luck. Red and yellow flags. That means the area between them is patrolled by lifeguards. Now in you go, Joe.
Funny, but I've changed my mind, Petunia.
Oh, men. Oh, Joe, I have enjoyed our country walk.
Yes, we've come a long way, Petunia. Look, you can see our tracks right across that yellow cornfield.
Oh, yes. It's ever so nice in this field, but I'm glad those cows have gone.
Aye, they're taking themselves off for a walk down the road. Look, through that gate I opened. The one marked private.
Oh, yes. Our little Bingo's having a lovely time playing with those sheep. The exercise will do him good.
Hey, I've hit that bottle, Petunia. It smashed up a treat.
Oh, very clever.
You know, there's a farmer down there with a purple face.
I expect it's all that sun and the open-air life, Joe.
Now he's doing one of those country dances.
Well, I don't think he looks very friendly.
Maybe you're right. Though it can't be anything we've done.
No. But I won't stay where I'm not wanted. Come on, Joe.
When folk come out to the country, why, oh, why won't they follow the country code?
Nice view from up here, Petunia.
Yes, very nice, Joe. Worn tyres kill. Worn tyres kill? Are our tyres worn, Joe?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so, Petunia.
Well, I expect you've looked. You have looked, haven't you, Joe? Joe, have you looked at our tyres?
Yes.
Recently, Joe?
Nice view from up here, Petunia.
Joe, are our tyres worn?
Not warm, Petunia. They're a bit smooth.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice view from up here, Petunia.
Yes, very nice, Joe.
It's very likely that 400 of you will be injured in your cars tomorrow you'll be within 6 miles of home and doing less than 30. And it's going to happen to a lot of you ladies. You'll be shopping, collecting the kids, going to the laundrette. For some of you, the face you start out with in the morning won't be the same face you end up with by the evening. Why let it happen? Clunk, click, it's so simple. Clunk the car door, click the seat belt, even if you are just going round the corner, clunk, click every trip.
I am the spirit of dark and lonely water, ready to trap the unwary, the show-off, the fool. And this is the kind of place you'd expect to find me. But no one expects to find me here. It seems too ordinary. But that pool is deep. The boy is showing off. The bank is slippery. The show-offs are easy. But the unwary ones are easier still. This branch is weak, rotten. It'll never take his way. Only a fool would ignore this. But there's one born every minute. Under the water there are traps, old cars, bedsteads, weeds, hidden depths. It's the perfect place for an accident.
Oh, look, there's someone in the water. Quick, use that big stick to get him out.
Sensible children. I have no power over them.
Oi, mate, that's a stupid place to swim. Hey, go over and get that thing to wrap him in. You don't have to feel cold, mate. How long was you in there? Ew, what thing?
I'll be back.
If you imagine this is your car, then this is a motorcycle. Now, when you drive up to a main road, it's easy to see other cars. But because a motorcycle is a third of the width of a car, he's very hard to see. But he's dead easy to hurt. Nasty. And that's why, at junctions, I'm asking you to give a second thought for bikes. Stop. Think once for cars, hold it, then think again for bikes. If you want to avoid this, think once, think twice, think bike.
Go on, get it. We're not supposed to go in there. Oh, go on, there's a gap down there. A gang of kids broke in yesterday. I saw them. Pass me that bit of wood.
A 66,000-volt shock killed a boy today when he broke into a substation. The electricity board warns children to keep away from substations. Never try to get toys back yourself. Otherwise, you may not live to play with them again.
Diamonds are for danger. The diamond sign means a dangerous load. Look out for the diamond signs. They all mean danger. If there's an accident, when you see the diamond sign, keep away. Go to the nearest phone and dial 999. There might be an explosion or fumes that could kill you. Diamonds are for danger. Keep away.
Vicky. This is my dad. That's my sister. This is my mum and my nan. She always waits there. She worries when we're not all home. Mum and Dad worry when I am. Mind you don't burn yourself. Dry yourself properly. You'll ruin your eyes. And every Saturday morning when me and Mum go shopping, my nan always tells me to look out for the traffic. Me! It's Mum she should be telling. When she wants to get to the shop opposite, she just takes off. She doesn't bother with the crossing. We've been told at school not to go between parked cars, but to use the crossings. And my mum says that's quite right when you're young. At home there's all that sit up and eat up, otherwise you won't grow up to be big and strong and healthy. And outside, where there are cars and lorries and buses wagging past, my mum should be wearing L plates crossing the road. Good job she doesn't drive. My dad does, and he's very careful, but he doesn't always practice what he preaches. Me and him had been up in the park Sunday morning. Then he remembered we hadn't bought the car. I started walking to the subway, and he tells me to make us late for our dinner. It's very funny how grown-ups can always be right, even when they're wrong. Now, if anybody had tried that when he'd been driving, he'd have done his nut. The best, though, was when I was with Mum. Me and her were on our way home after getting me more shoes. Anyway, we have to cross the road, and she didn't even see the car coming. She was about to tell the driver what she thought about him, and he was out the car to do the same. And you know who he was? My dad! In our new car. We could have all finished up as mincemeat. And you tell me how they would have explained that to my nan.
Girl said that she made me sweat, but I can't sweat no more. I haven't perspired since my chopper was shot at in the Falklands War.
You know, each of those cars carries a whole family. Yes, even him. He's probably got a wife and kids, depending on his arriving home safely. What are his chances? That much less if he doesn't snap into his seatbelt. There can be some pretty frightening results from accidents where people don't wear their seatbelts, and they don't have to be fatal. After all, what's a family with mum or dad laid up in hospital? I know that if you wear a seatbelt, you reduce your chances of being killed or seriously injured by half. So what I'm getting at is this. If you won't belt up for yourselves, then please do it for them, because your seatbelt is their security. And I'm going to be around for quite a while punching that message across. Right, here's my first problem. The driver who takes all the trouble in the world to put a seatbelt on for a long drive along the motorway, but doesn't bother for just popping round the corner, because it's that popping round the corner drive that's the most dangerous, just when you think it's not worth belting up. Think about this one. Over 60% of all traffic accidents happen in built-up areas. So let's get into that seatbelt habit. And let's make it automatic as closing the car door. After all, you wouldn't drive off without hearing this, would you? The clunk of the car door closing. Right, let's add another sound. The click of a seatbelt being fastened. clunk, click. That makes sound sense, doesn't it? Never clunk without you click. You know, we could become a nation of clunk clickers. Is it all worth it? Well, if it's not for you, surely it is for them. Remember, this seatbelt is their security. See you, clunk clicker.
This is where I heal my hurts. It's in natural grace, or watching young life shape. It's in minor keys, solutions and remedies. Enemies becoming friends when bitterness ends. This is my church. This is my church. God is a DJ. For tonight, God is a DJ.
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. I woke up this morning, on my horizon, 3 little birds were on my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melody pure and true. And they said, this message is you. They said, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright.
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds pitch by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing,
British, Martin Leaker speaking, and I am today talking to you from the Dean Plaza in Dallas. I'm not even joking. Just behind me there is the book suppository, which apparently Oswald shot JFK. So I'm in Dean Plaza. Grassy Knoll is just over by there. British platforms here in Main Street, downtown Houston, Texas. Check this out, guys. We're coming to looking for the Tatarian stuff because I got my Long Live Tataria t-shirt on ready. Check that out. And check that out on that corner. Yeah, they got some fantastic old architectures. Looks a bit like New Orleans by here. Check it out. And they got beehives. The old beehivage. You know what, right? So I think, but if British, I'll do some more videos and keep you updated. There's lots of exciting things coming along, as you know. Let's get across. I'm getting quite into ranty trains.
We're out here in the middle of Sam Houston State National Forest. We just doing it. Hey, look, what's this Welshman doing here? How does this happen?
Yeah, but you can live your whole life with 3 words in Cardiff, and that's all. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
So you think you can
like,
tell?
like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Heaven from hell, blue skies and rain.
Can you tell a green field from a coastal rail? Smile from a veil. Do you think you can tell?
Alfred, come here. Oi oi, flat of British Martin Leaker speaking. Today, live in Galveston, Texas. Not Gaviscon, I said Galveston, Texas. And the place is like being blitzed. There's a lot of old Tataria here though, guys. That one it says on there. 1895, but I very much doubt it. And what you find is all the roofs seem to be missing. That building there, roof seems to be missing. That one there, roof seems to be missing. And check the Art Deco building in the background. So that's 1920s, it's a railway museum. So there's a shit ton of Tatarian buildings, guys. I'll just show you. Galveston, Texas. I'll post more while I have a little mosey around and check everything out. Peace and love. Stay epic. Oi oi. Hiya guys, it's me, Martin. Walking with Cheryl, and we're having a last little walk around this area. I've been fortunate, or we've been fortunate enough to stay in this place for the last month. And it's just the most fantastic area of Houston you could possibly imagine. The houses are fantastic. It's like being, yeah, look at that. I've been in the woods. There's all trees, big trees around and critters galore. So absolute joyous place, very fortunate to be here. Weren't we?
Yes.
In the bright, hot sun. So, that was a bit fantastic. So you never know where Flight of British and front row seat are going to end up next. So keep watching and we surprise you all. Okay guys, much love to you all. Oi oi, Martin speaking, just found the most incredible place. Maybe the kitchen yard, check this out, it's like its own little village. The groovy little bars. Colorado River.
Well, there's a lizard thing run under there, then. Just seen a lizard thing run under there, then.
The lizard?
A lizard thing.
Look at the view here, babe.
I
Look
know.
at that. There's the collar.
Oi oi, flat of British, Mount League speaking, at the Capitol building in Austin. It's Texas State Capitol building. And there's a lot of really old shit. Look at that over there. You can see it. Really, really old stone buildings. The centre of Austin. Look at that, guys. Whew, size of it. And American History Memorial. Oh, it's really nice here, isn't it? Oi oi, flat of British in downtown Austin in Texas, and hitting like an old world part of town. You can see all the buildings over there, just old stone. Looks like something out of like, you know, old England. But check, they left the cymatic pattern in the window there. That is absolutely amazing. It's a Jesuit church. That bit up there looks a different stone. You know, it's a different colour stone. So that's been added later. And raised door. Oh, that's pretty fantastic, as you can see.
Entrance inside of the church.
Yeah.
Let's go in it.
Yeah. Do you reckon we can get in there?
Yeah.
Entrance. Okay. Cool. 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 Let's do it. Let's do it. Beautiful little town called Denton, and it's just north of Dallas. And check this, what is it, Cheryl? Town Hall.
It used to be the county courthouse.
County courthouse, great.
Now it's a museum.
Nice museum. Let's walk hither into it. Oh, this is so beautiful. There's a building on a corner there, it's like a Greco-Romano thing. I think that's proper old. Check it out. Look at this bit of old world. It's mad good. Ticket package. Super pretty. Super cool. They got really, really cool music here as well. Everywhere.
You go, brother. Yeah, man, do it.
That's my brother from another mother.
Here we go.
Okay. Butcher from Wales, UK. Winner.
Flattered British, here in Texas.
Yeah, man.
He is
Come here
here.
to Texas.
We're here to do a song.
Texas
You
man.
people, woo! Much love, up the vibration.
Yeah. Okay.
We're feeling
Here we go.
good. Here we go.
Okay. Calling out around the world, are you ready for a brand new beat? Sun is sure and the time is right. dancing in the street. Down in New Orleans, in New York City, all we need is music, music. There'll be music everywhere. We'll be singing, swaying, records playing, dancing in the street. Oh, it doesn't matter what you wear, just as long as you are there. Oh, come on, God, ride the girl everywhere, around the world we'll be dancing in the street. It's an invitation across the nation, counts for folks to meet. They'll be laughing and singing and music screaming, dancing in the street. Oh, get to go to the city, and the streets are buzzing. Back in the USSR, no matter where you are, all you need is music, sweet music. There'll be music everywhere. They'll be swinging, swaying, records playing, dancing in the street. It doesn't matter what you wear, just as long as you are there. Come on, every guy, drive the girl, everywhere, around the world we'll be dancing, dancing in the street. Dancing in the street. Dancing in the street. Know that you're dancing, dancing in the street. Don't you know that you're dancing, dancing in the street. That's Texas, everybody.
That's what karaoke's about.
Awesome job, guys.
Having fun.
Having fun. That's what we're talking about.
That's not even possible because we're master non-giving fuckers.
Supervise.
Sure.
Alright, cool.
Flat thumbs to the flat British peeps.
What's up? It's going down. Day
I've
one.
got Johnny Hubro.
Flat thumbs.
And Jason ACKWRDS.
But they're all
And
round.
Max
I
Hitch.
noticed yesterday we've all got round glasses.
Oh yeah, mine are a little bit different, but they are essentially the same.
British.
Yeah, I'm not one British, that's it.
You're weird.
So, no, I got weirded by Cheryl. I'm not weird anymore. Because Input Productions, filming the next Tatarian movie. Epicness. Woohoo! Some sort of event, which we were discussing. Do you think some of the land will rise and some of the land will fall?
I wish you would have asked me that because I can give a perfect example. I can give a perfect example right now.
That's what I'm thinking.
Check this out. In 1890, from 1890 to about 1910, excavations were done by German archaeologists at Tiahuanaco in South America. and it blew their minds that Lake Titicaca is the only freshwater lake in the world that has starfish, jellyfish, sharks, and all kinds of things that only grow in salt water.
Right.
So they studied the area a little bit more, and they did excavations, and they found docking bays, quays, and they realized, wait a minute, ships would have come here. So they looked even further out, and on the mountains, they found the ancient coastline.
Wow.
14,000 miles above sea level. Tiwanaku,
This must
Lake
be an
Titicaca.
event, isn't it?
There was an upheaval, and it just stayed up. The Andes Mountains rose 14,000 feet. And now even modern archaeology admits that this is
Will just make countries turn on one another under order and fight one another in wars. So we won't be wanting anyone back in the future, okay? It's all in. Okay, so there it is. First time you'll see these two together. There's the first two of the series, the Holy Grail of the Great Reset, and my first book.
Well, as many of you know, my name is Jason. This is our second arcade meeting. So as you know, we have Mark Devlin from Wales.
So this is a really big moment in history, it really is. And there's so much stuff coming out as well. With all the stuff that's coming out about the resets, ancient history, how many times I've done this. See, and I think, as Martin said earlier, there's nothing new under the sun. All this technology we're using is old technology. I've often spoken about, who's familiar with my walker talks and radio shows? Many people. I've often talked about scrying mirrors and stuff like this, like these cell phones, these black mirrors. If you look at the stories of witchcrafts and covens and witches and all this sort of stuff, they talk about scrying mirrors, these black mirrors that you look into, which tell you the future and the past, everything.
It makes no sense if you've got an army on the high ground, you just shoot down onto the wall and everyone's going to die. So, that's not a feasible defensive strategy. But we picked up on something concerning these castellations you might see here. You see these crenellations, what you get like on castles, etc.
Before we talk about the crenellations, this is where the narrative begins to unravel.
Yeah.
Before that, can you show them an image of that wall disappearing into the sea?
Yeah, of course I can.
We are just finally decompressing after 6 weeks of Panic at the Disco. Yeah, we're up here. It's like a tree house. And this is our back view. It's just nothing. Oh, and a big flag of Texas, which is kind of cute. There's Martin. Going here, we got, look at this place. It's just so cutesy. It's got sunsets everywhere. This couch is hilarious. You'll see it later. But it's just beautiful in here. You know, you've got, what are you doing, Martin? Got it? Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh! That's scary.
Ready? Yeah. Okay, check the mission. We found this chair. And it does all cool. Oh, wait, that don't help.
Oi oi, Martin in Dallas shorts. An interesting feature, your water feature. So they know about vortex in water. A little bit of a styling. And then it's like, it's all structured. And the empty, and they've got a crystal in there. Added structure. And prayer flags. And all style building and that thing. That's nice. Look at that. The energy's really good here. On my travels through Texas, we discovered something really cool. Check this place out. It's got loads of cool antiques. The place is mad, it's closed, but we're checking it out. It's got all model T40s. Check this. I've never even seen one before. Check this. Check them. Wow, look at this, guys. Fucking brilliant. Check them. Wow, look at this cute little one.
All right, it looks like your head is on fire, and it's like.
God.
Look at you.
So good.
Does it feel good?
Oh, it's like eats the air.
So how do you like nowhere? Nowhere, you're
Nowhere.
safe.
Nowhere. Look at nowhere.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
4 o'clock.
That embrace, cool. I'm all ready so I don't drown because I'm not a very good swimmer. We're going in the 4 foot. She's in the deep end. That's very, very nice. They call me the Pom. Pennies, yeah?
Sure. You left them over there on the table.
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. I woke up this morning, on my horizon, 3 little birds were on my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melody blowing true. And they said, this message is you. They said, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright.